Hey, insight number 2 this week. We're in 1 Nephi 7. This is when they return to gather Ishmael and his family so that they can have wives and that Nephi's daughters can have husbands. They wanted a good strong line. We don't want to marry off brothers and sisters. And I don't know how many daughters Lehi had. It doesn't really mention. We know there's some. Whether they show up later or whether they're a few, I don't know. But nonetheless, they go back and get Ishmael and his family. Well, actually, they invite him, and he comes, of course. He's like, yeah, I believe Nephi. And let's just stop for a second and think of the amount of faith that Ishmael had, because it just says they came down, and they went up to the house of Ishmael in verse 4, and to gain favour in the sight of Ishmael, insomuch that we did speak unto him the words of the Lord. And it came to pass that the Lord did soften the heart of Ishmael, and also his household, insomuch they took their journey with us down to the wilderness. 2 verses he kind of gets around his decision. This would have been huge. They gave up their home, and these aren't like poor farming people that were disenfranchised. These were people who had good homes, servants, a whole livelihood, like strong business and nice things. I don't think I would have minded staying in their home in those ancient times. Not exactly indoor plumbing per se, but it was definitely a cut above. Now, Lehi and his family walked away, and we understand that a little more. They took some time over it. Lehi had the vision. Ishmael doesn't get a vision. He just has faith, and he has a prayer. His heart's softened, and off he goes. And we talked already this year about how those things fall better on a softened heart. We talked about that last week. But let's just look at his faith here and his willingness to believe in a prophet. He did, and he acted. There's not a whole lot written about it. He didn't have a big, moment. He just went, okay, I'll pray about it. Yep, that's right, let's go. I'm just like, that's such a great guy. Let's look a little more at Ishmael and think, wow, how can we be a bit more like that? Yeah, Nephi was strong. Ishmael probably wasn't. He already had kids. He was older. He's like, this is his whole thing. He didn't get a vision, and yet he still did what the Lord wanted, still prayed and could know that. He's a man of great faith. So, yeah, give him some credit. But this is we're here to in verse this one. This is when they go back and get Ishmael. But anyway, so verse 1, it says, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto him again. So this is Lehi speaking unto, God speaking unto Lehi again, or the Lord speaking unto Lehi again. So Lehi demonstrates here that he has a God that speaks to him often in the day-to-day. So we can learn a lot from that, because do we have a relationship with our Heavenly Father that speaks to us day to day? Like he speaks to us day to day? Yeah, I've fostered that, and I probably most days would hear from him. Simple things, probably not how you'd think you might be hearing him either. Sometimes it's just a cool breeze on a hot day. Sometimes it's just somebody sending me a message to say, hi, I'm thinking about you. There's always something. He will get angels or animals even. Yesterday I had a monarch butterfly fluttering around me for 5 minutes. I just stood there and it just fluttered. This isn't the first time this has happened. They don't usually stay around people though. So for whatever reason, I don't know, people could call it coincidence, but I feel something deeper there. But the point I wanted to bring up, and there's so many good points in this chapter, so if you find something else, then go with that, and you feel to go with it, then do that. But I really wanted to bring this one up, because so often the scriptures will teach us to remember. Remember, remember. They will repetitively use the word remember. And yet here, Nephi chastises his brothers, who once again, as soon as they get into the wilderness and the journey's hard, well, hello, of course it's hard, you're not used to walking. It's going to be hard work. You're not exactly wearing the latest Nike walkers or trainers. It's going to hurt. It's hot. I don't know if I'd like that journey very much at all. I don't do well in heat. I'm all right walking, but not in heat. Not in direct sunlight. Not with sand. Not for me. So I kind of get how Laban and Lemuel are feeling. I don't know if I'd have such a severe reaction, but who knows in the time, right? Unless you're there, you don't know. But nonetheless, Laban and Lemuel, some of the daughters of Ishmael, 2 of the sons of Ishmael, and their families did rebel against Nephi. They were like, this is garbage, mate. What are you on about? Because Nephi's trying to, come on, it's good. And so he really starts to them, and he says in verse 10, how have you forgotten that you have seen an angel of the Lord? You guys saw an angel of the Lord. Laman, Lemuel, you saw an angel of the Lord and you forgot it? And then 11, how is it that you have forgotten what great things the Lord has done for us? You were with me in those situations, the ones we talked about last week, and the many things that you've seen daily, and you forgot them all? They're blessings from the Lord that are given to us constantly, and you forgot them all. And then again, how is it in 12? How is it that you have forgotten that the Lord is able to do all things according to his will? You forgot that. So as much as we've said, remember, 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 forgotten, 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 and how easily that happened, and how easily that can happen for us. And those moments of stress beyond what would be regular stress, which this day and age happens a lot, so easy to forget, forget, forget. And we need to instead remember, remember, remember. Absolutely. So, where are you remembering in here? Well, I've noted that in 17, Nephi, and it came to pass that I prayed unto the Lord. He remembered. He remembered to go to the Lord. Nephi remembered he has a God that delivers multiple times and that hears him. One of the daughters of Ishmael and also her mother and one of the sons of Ishmael did plead with my brethren, insomuch they did soften their hearts. They remembered. They remembered the goodness of the Lord and the goodness of Nephi and pleaded with them, please stop this. They remembered. And the last one will be down in 27 again, Nephi said, and it came to pass that I did frankly forgive them. He got out of his, they did bind him up. He prayed to the Lord and said, look, if you want me to, please help me here. Let me break these bonds. And he did. But if you're going to look at this, in 13 through 15, he's trying to get them to remember. And they just take it such the wrong way. So how can we not do that when somebody is trying to get us to remember? And I've had instances where somebody's tried to remind me of something and it's not gone down well because I don't want to remember it. And yet I know that it's better for me if I do. So I've got to check myself and where am I with that? And how easy it is to forget when we're in a particularly stressful situation. So to really build up that tolerance of forgetting by remembering even more and having things that we can remember in those times when they happen, that we can quickly call to memory. We can talk about, we too believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We believe in the same God that Nephi and Lehi and Sariah and Joseph and Emma and Hiram and Brigham all believed in. If we want to go to all those people, we can name people in our own lives. We have the same God. What he did for them, he will do for us. And remember that. Get that in us. Get some things we can cling to, those examples that we can cling to. They're going to work best for us so that when we hit these situations, we don't forget, that we remember, just like they did. It goes on that they, just in the last bit there, when they get back to gratitude will solve anger, and that they immediately gave sacrifice and burnt offerings and gave up those angry feelings. But, so, note before the violence happens here, Nephi asks 3 times, how is it that you've forgotten? In 13 to 15, Nephi tries to get them to remember. And Nephi remembered he had a God that delivers multiple times and was quick to forgive his brothers and their whole group. But be proactive in remembering and forgiving. And what are the different ways that Jesus has delivered you? Maybe discuss this week with your family or your class. What are some ways that God has delivered you? What have you noticed? Where has Jesus delivered you and helped you? Because it could be something as simple as you were 5 seconds before a small car scrape in the supermarket parking lot, and for me, I got to the supermarket just in time to get the last one of the thing I needed, and somehow he preserved that on the shelf, knowing that I needed it. And yet it was quite a full supermarket where a lot of people probably needed it, and yet he still saved one for me. Now people will look at that and go, "Oh, that's fortunate." No, that's Christ delivering. It's just beautiful. And how do you thank him? See verse 22. They thanked him. Do you thank? And I probably don't enough. I try to remember immediately to thank. Doesn't always happen. So that's something I need to remember too, because I'm guilty of forget. So have a look at that. I think it's a really good one for youth to look at. But adults need this too. So it's a good one for your family. Remember. Don't forget. There you go. All right. Hang around. We're going to go over to 1 Nephi 8.